It's just incredible so far. I'm so hooked on the concept. I'm so hooked on the way it's written. I just like brain is exploding. This book made me sob at 2 a.m. Do you ever finish a book and you're like, why did this person write this? Hello. Today, for your viewing pleasure, I am Eddie Munson in female form. And we're talking about the mid-year freakout tag. Every year, I love doing this tag. I think that it's one of the best ones you can do. Just gives you a bit of stats, gives you a bit of questions, gives you a bit of just like an idea and a snapshot of what my reading year has been like. And I can tell you right now, my reading year has not been great. I am 16 books behind schedule on my reading challenge. I read over 100 books last year and I foolishly thought that I could do the same this year, even though last year I only had half a year of exams. But this year I have a full year of exams. So we're just gonna dive right in because I don't have a lot to talk about. I mean, I do, but I don't. I've got some answers to the questions and I don't know what more I can do. Okay, so I'm leaving a gap here because I'm being mega fucking lazy and I can't be asked to hold any books up. So I'm just gonna talk about them and Jordan's gonna put them here. We're gonna have a good time, okay? Apart from maybe the pretty one. When it asks about a pretty book, I will just find a pretty book for you. And that's how it be these days, okay? Enough of my rambling rubbish. Let's just go on to the first question. So the first question is, what is the best book that you have read so far in 2022? Now for this, it's probably gonna sound really fucking obvious for those who know and have read that series, but it is Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. This has currently the highest core pile rating in terms of like the actual score, not just like a 5-star versus another 5-star. The second highest is actually number 2's question. Jade Legacy was amazing. It was such a brilliant wrap up to a brilliant trilogy. After giving the first one 4 to 4.5 stars, I was hoping that the next 2 would blow my mind, and they did. I am annoyed that I kind of left it till now to read it though, because I only finished it a couple of weeks ago. However, I'd seen so many people saying like, oh, trauma, blah, blah, blah. So I fully went in with way more expectations than was given. So I thought it was going to be really traumatizing, awful. I was going to cry. I did tear up, but I when like the things happened, I just was not that super bothered. I think I was bothered, but not like screaming, crying, throwing up, Crescent City bothered. Do you know what I mean? It's not fair to compare those because they're not the same type of book, but from what everyone was saying and screaming and shouting about, that's the impression that I got, and then it under-delivered on the hype, but that's not Fonda Lee's fault, hence why it's still extremely highly rated. I would highly recommend this series to anyone who likes historical fiction with like a slight kind of speculative twist on it, lots of politics. My friend Tom, who he's our DM in D&D, I think he would really like this. 5 whole stars. Honestly, if you haven't read this yet, or it's on your TBR and it's on your shelves, like I would just give it a go. It's really fucking good. Question number 2 is best sequel you've read so far in 2022, and I'm gonna give this to Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shauna Maguire. This is book 7 in the Wayward Children series, and like I always do, I'm gonna show you my tattoo, which I think is backwards on here, but it says Be Sure. And for anyone who doesn't know the Wayward Children series, it is about children who go into lost worlds, a la Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz, things like that. And when they come back to the real world, they can't adjust and they don't know how to be in the human world, the normal world, because they feel like they belong in the world that the door opened to. But every time they go through a door, the door at some form on it, above it, weaved into it, it'll say Be Sure. And that's why I have that tattooed on me, because it's my favourite series of all time and I will not hear a bad word said against it. I'm joking, you can have your own opinions, of course. But it is very good. And it's a series of novellas, which I never thought I would say a series of novellas would be my favourite series of all time. But it is, so there we have it. I think there's going to be circa 10 to 13 novels in this series, but every odd novel, and this was one of the odd novels, is kind of current day timeline at the school, which is the school where Eleanor's home for wayward children, where she kind of takes in children who can't adjust. And then every even book is then a prequel book, so kind of harking back to their original story from characters you meet in the current timeline. So please read this book. I spent years putting off Every Heart a Doorway because the cover just didn't really speak to me. It's very photorealistic. It's very like year 11 Photoshop. I've grown to like love the covers, especially In an Absent Dream. I really want a tattoo based on the In an Absent Dream. I think I'm gonna look at the illustrations in there as well and like the cover and see if I can get like an artist to kind of do that. The number 7, it's the continuation of the modern day storyline, timeline, and it was just an excellent addition, I think. I really think that it added to the universe and the story in a way that I wasn't expecting. And yeah, it was just brilliant. Obviously, I can't say much about it because it is the 7th book, but I really would beg anyone to try out this series. I think they're on Scribd. I'm pretty sure they're on Scribd, so you could listen to the audiobooks for free if you wanted to. Number 3 is a new release you haven't read yet but want to, and goddamn, this could really kind of go for anything. This could go for a lot of book box books. This could go for any pre-orders that I have that have come in. For this one, I'm gonna have to pick Ordinary Monsters. In fact, I'm gonna go get Ordinary Monsters. So yeah, I had to go get this one. This is Ordinary Monsters, and this is the Goldsboro version. This book is huge. It's so big. You could knock someone out with it. If I give you the page count, it is 660 pages. To be fair, it has big writing, so I think it might be shorter than it seems, but this sounds right up my street. In fact, it reminds me a lot of Every Heart a Doorway, but I can never quite remember the synopsis. I think it's like set in Victorian times. There's kind of children in this institute that have powers. It reminds me of almost a very like Stranger Things 11, like where they're like experimented on and stuff. It gives me that kind of vibe, but also Every Heart a Doorway kind of vibe as well. It's in 1882 in the north of Edinburgh. There's an institute of crumbling stone where a strange doctor collects orphans with unusual abilities. In London, 2 children with such powers are hunted by a figure of darkness, which is a man made of smoke. Charlie Ovid, who's I assume our main character, discovers a gift for healing himself through a brutal upbringing in Mississippi, whilst Marlowe, who is a foundling from a railway freight, glows with strange bluish light. 2 grizzled detectives are recruited to escort them north to safety, and they are confronted by a sinister, dangerous force. And so there's a journey from the gaslit streets of London all the way up to the lochs of Scotland, where other gifted children of the talents have been gathered at the Cairndale Institute, and the realms of the dead and the living collide. So as secrets within the Institute unfurl, Marlowe, Charlie, and the rest of the talents will discover the truth about their abilities and the nature of the force that is stalking them. The worst monsters sometimes come bearing the sweetest gifts. And this just sounds right up my street. It just sounds so good. Like, this is my shit. I really hope I like it. It's probably my most anticipated read at the moment, other than Babel, which I'm going to be talking about soon in this tag anyway. So the next question is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. For this, I was going to say Silverborn, which is the 4th Morgan Crow book, but that has now been pushed back all the way until next October, so October 2023, which is gutting for all of us, but I'm sure not half as gutting as us as it is for the actual author, Jessica Townsend. I'm sure she's gutted as well. And I know everyone's gonna say Babel, but I'm actually 11% of the way through Babel right now because I have an e-arc, and it's just incredible so far. I'm so hooked on the concept. I'm so hooked on the way it's written, on everything around translation and language, and the fact that the main character is Chinese in London in the 1800s, like the fact that he has to navigate all this direct racism. It's just so good so far. Literally after this, gonna go and read more. So I've stopped reading Babel to come and film a video for you guys. Aren't you so happy that I've done this? I'm sure it's worth it for you. Anyway, we're gonna carry on. So yeah, Silverborn was gonna be it. Babel, if I have to be honest, Babel is the most anticipated book. Like, I can't dance around it. It is the book that I'm most anticipating. However, if I do think about what's coming in, like Illumicrates and Fairy Loots, I am kind of looking forward to the Book Eaters. If I look on my Amazon wish list, basically with Amazon, I have a pre-order wish list and my main public wish list. And whenever pre-orders become active, so like published, I then move it over to my normal wish list, just so people don't buy pre-orders by accident and they don't come and it's like, what's going on? now. Oh, well, I'm also looking forward to Gleanings, which is the short stories from Arc of a Scythe by Neil Schusterman. I'm just thinking most anticipating. To be fair, Strike the Zither by Joan Her. Also, I'm looking forward to because I loved The Ones We're Meant to Find so much. I still haven't managed to read Descendant of the Crane, but I am planning on it. Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail, which is more on the romance side of things. I recently read Delilah Green Doesn't Care, and in fact, other than Delilah, Astrid was my favourite character, so I'm really looking forward to Astrid's book. God damn, that's not till November. Oh, I'm gonna have to try and get an arc of that because I'm not waiting for that. Bloodmarked. Can we please talk about Bloodmarked? Everyone, stop. Legendborn was so fucking good. Like, you don't understand how good Legendborn is until you've read it. Me and my patrons did kind of an impromptu, unplanned, like, read-along together of it. And all of us, except maybe, like, one or two, like, all of us just ate that shit up. And Bloodmarked, I actually have an e-arc of that as well, as of, like, literally yesterday. And I'm so excited to read it. You guys have no idea. I just, like, brain is exploding. This is how I felt when I also got Babel, to be fair, but now that I'm reading it, I'm, like, in it. But Bloodmarked, I am feral. And then also I am looking forward to Into the Wind-Racked Wilds. I can't even say it. Into the Wind-Racked Wilds, which is the third Up and Under book from Shauna Maguire, which was the books that are within the book Middle Game, which was also written by Shauna Maguire. All of the things that you're looking forward to. I know I didn't explain loads of them, but you should just go look them up anyway. Okay, let's talk about biggest disappointment of the year. I have two for this because they both got the same rating, which was like 1.5 stars, and I was so annoyed. But to be fair, the more disappointing one was the one that I was anticipating more, and that is Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. And this I bought the Fairy Loot edition. I'm pretty sure I've pre-ordered the Fairy Loot editions of the other two, which is an Enchantment of Ravens, and the one that I actually do like, which I can't even remember the name of. Whatever the one is called that I like, I gave 4. Enchantment of Ravens, I gave 3, but it was like fun. It was fine, like it was good. And then Vespertine, I've given a 1.5 star. If you want to round it up to 2, you can, but I don't round up. This was shit. I listened to it. It was the first book of the year that I read. And let me tell you what a fucking disappointment this book was. I'm moving closer because I need to get across to you like how bad this book was for me. I just did not buy any of what she was selling. I can't even remember how pissed off I was because it was 6 months ago now. What I remember is I didn't give a shit about any of the characters. I didn't give a shit about the romance. I didn't give a shit about any of what was going on in the plot. In fact, the magic system was confusing. It wasn't explained. It didn't make sense. Basically, like, nothing happened in this book. Like, lots of things happened, but also nothing happened at the same time. The plot didn't make sense. The scenes that were stitched together didn't make sense. I didn't know what was going on half the time, and I just didn't care. Just didn't care. It's going to be a duology and I don't care. In fact, I need to sell my edition because I paid 25 quid for it and I don't want it anymore. It's just awful. It's just not good. But sorry if you liked it. And then the other disappointing one was Year of the Reaper, but I also didn't have very high hopes for this. This was the December Fairy Loot book. You can actually see a lot more of my reactions of this in my book box battle that I did for December. If you want in-depth thoughts, go there. They are spoiler free. But Year of the Reaper, again, nothing happened. I didn't care about anyone. There was nothing going on. I didn't really get the point of the story. Do you ever finish a book and you're like, why did this person write this? Like, what was the theme? What was the message? Who are these characters? Why did she even come up with them? What's the point? Like, just what is the point? That's how I felt about Year of the Reaper. It was just a nothing book. So now we have Biggest Surprise, and I'm kind of doubling this one up as the prettiest book, but I'll give you 2 pretty books because I'm like that and I have lots of them. What the fuck? I'm sitting up here bald-headed and confused. What is happening? Where is my This Woven Kingdom edition? Hello? Where the fuck would I have put that? Okay, well, I've somehow managed to lose my edition of This Woven Kingdom from Illumicrate. I'm not quite in full panic mode, but it is literally one of my favourite editions I've ever gotten ever in anything ever, you know, existing in my life. So I have no idea where that is. It should be in my stenciled area because it's got a stencil, but it is not in the blue area. It's not anywhere to be found. I'm just confused. I'm sure it'll turn up somewhere, right? Surely it has to. Well, I'm sorry, the energy's gonna be a bit weird now, but my biggest surprise was this Woven Kingdom. Jord can show you the Illumicrate edition in a picture, but it's not quite the same. This is why I hate myself. I'm so bad for like just being so messy. Anyway, this Woven Kingdom was a 5-star for me. I really was not expecting this to be a 5-star at all. In fact, it made me really, really glad that I am doing my book box battle to force me to do and read those books, because I would not have read it for ages otherwise. I've not read Chatami, I've not read anything by Tahara Mafi before, I've not read Furthermore, which is her middle grade. This is my first Tahara Mafi book, and I ate this shit up. The yearning, the like subtle horniness. The guy was just an absolute simp for the girl, and I don't ask me to remember their names because that's not what we're here for. But I knew I loved them. The interactions were just great. I will admit, it's not like a 5-star that I would recommend to absolutely everyone. It's not one of those types of books. I definitely think like you have to be in a particular mood, and you have to be like, and you have to like that kind of book. Like, it's not an all-rounder, if that makes sense. In fact, I wouldn't even say it's like an objective 5-star. It's definitely a very subjective 5-star. And I know it's hard to do objectivity with ratings, but you guys know what I mean. But yeah, this Woven Kingdom just absolutely blew me away. It was a 500-page book, but it did not feel like that. In fact, I listened to the audiobook on Scribd, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who is looking for an audiobook to listen to and fill your time, because it was excellent. And I was very, very surprised at that. So, and I love books like that. I love being surprised by books. Favourite new author, and this could be a debut or new to me, and for this I'm choosing Becky Chambers, and I actually have it next to me. So earlier this year I read A Psalm for the Wild-Built. This has been tabbed and highlighted and annotated in because as soon as I read the first 3 pages I thought, oh, I need to highlight and tab and annotate this because it's going to change my life. And it did. I just want to give a huge shout out to Maddie from Book Prize and Blog, because when we were at Yelp, she discovered that the sequel to this was already out in Forbidden Planet and signed in the middle of London, and she picked up a copy for a couple of people, and then Katie from Brightness Katie Reads went back and bought another few copies and got me one as well. So thank you to Maddie for discovering it, and thank you to Katie for going back and getting it for me. It is in my other room next to my bed because I'm probably going to read it very soon. But yeah, this was incredible. I know a lot of people go on about it or have gone on about it recently, but I'm just going to add to the crowd because this was so good. It's about a tea monk who uses they, them pronouns, they're non-binary, and robots in this world, it's like some future dystopian, utopian world. Robots in this future have kind of become sentient and then decided they don't want to be around humans anymore, so they go off into the wild, hence Wild-Built. And then the tea monk, sibling Dex is the monk, and oh my god, what's the robot called? Mosscap. Fuck me. I'm so bad. And Mosscap is the robot that they find in the woods because Dex is having a midlife crisis, basically. And they kind of go on this spiritual-esque journey together. It's quite emotional. It's quite gripping. Not gripping in a thriller way, but just like you keep wanting to turn the pages. So yeah, this is my newest favourite author. And I'm very much looking forward to reading A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. In fact, I think Spoops' Patreon book club this month, or this bi-month, is that book, so I'm going to try and get to it. And I've got it signed by her from Yalk years ago, so good for me. Number 8 is your newest fictional crush. Now, I am not the type of person who really gets a fictional crush most of the time. I don't think I do, or either that or it's not happened very often. However, I will make an exception for Bryce Quinlan from Crescent City because she is gorgeous and beautiful and amazing, and I would like to marry her. I also do very much fancy Piper from It Happens One Summer because I clearly have a thing for spoilt rich girls. But Bryce Quinlan, Bryce Quinlan. Now, number 9 is my newest favourite character, which I then would probably give to Piper as well, because I just really like her characterisation in It Happened One Summer. And I also do really love Mosscap from The Song for the Wild Built. I don't really tend to like attach myself to particular characters unless they really stand out to me. Bree, also from Legendborn, is very good, but I did read that last year, so I can't really talk about that. Lol. I read it last year, but whatever. It was in the latter half of the year, so you didn't get to see these questions in the latter half of the year. And then question 10 is a book that made you cry, and this has to go to House of Earth and Blood or Crescent City Book 1. This book made me sob at 2 a.m. I don't think I have ever sobbed at a book so much. I don't know how Sarah J Maas did it. She genuinely just tugged on my heartstrings constantly. I just saw everything so vividly. I just fully was in it with Bryce the whole time. And I'm fully trash for that book. I have no qualms about saying that. I have no, there's no beating around the bush. House of Earth and Blood is a fucking masterpiece. Is it slightly too long? Yes. Do I care? No. Question 11 is a book that made me happy. And for this, I'm going to say The Tea Dragon Society, because this is just a cute little graphic novel and I just had a really good time. Like, there was no trauma. There was no happy ending. There was a nice ending and it was just sweet and cute. And I just had a good time. What do we want? We always want a good time. It was definitely a nice palette cleanser in between novels. And I would reread it. I would reread it because it's so short that you can just reread it. I have not read the third one yet. I read the first two and I enjoyed both. I think I did prefer the first one, but I would like to get my own little tea dragon. I think that would be cute. Or like get one of them tattooed on me. I think that would also be fucking adorable. There was one that spoke to me and I can't remember which one it was, but I will find out. And I will probably get it tattooed on me. So number 12 is the most beautiful book you've bought so far this year. And I was going to show you this Woven Kingdom as well, but I've lost it somehow. But for me, I'm going to show you the edges for Daughter of the Moon Goddess, because these are so gorgeous. And they continue into the actual cover. Like, it's a continuation of the cover coming around to there. And it's just gorgeous. The colour is just such this nice indigo purple colour. Might change with colour correction on camera, but it's beautiful. Beautiful end paper artwork. Honestly, Fairy fucking outdid themselves with this. Just look. It's just so beautiful. And there's also a thing under the cover as well. So I'm so happy with this, honestly. The book was not like the best book in the world. I gave it a 3.5, which is pretty solid, but it wasn't like the best plot-wise. It's probably quite a bit too fast. There was a bit too much going on. So yeah, it's a really good book. I have bought the sequel as well because I would love to just keep these on my shelves. They're so pretty. You can't really go wrong when they look this good. And then the very final question is question 13, and that is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? Now, you guys know I need to read everything. I need to read all my box books. I need to catch up. So that is Gallant, Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, Blood Scion, Portrait of a Thief from Illumicrate, whatever the May books are, which is Book of Night, something else in June. And then the July books are coming soon as well. I skipped June and Illumicrate, so that's fine. And This Vicious Grace is the Fairy Loot June. I can't remember what the Fairy Loot May was. Something else. Just something else. I also really want to read Priory of the Orange Tree before the end of the year because the prequel is coming out in January next year. I also want to catch up on the Bone season, which I am actually going to be doing with my patrons. I read the first one just, literally like a week ago. And then I met Samantha Shannon and I had them all signed. And then I'm going to read them all. I'm going to read them all coming up to the end of this year, as well as Priory. I do want to get to Ordinary Monsters as soon as I can because it's my fave, like, current on the TBR that I hadn't even heard of before it came in my Goldsboro box. I also then need to get to, obviously, Babel. I have an Amari arc and a Bloodmarked arc that I would love to get to really, really soon. In fact, I'm doing arc August. Probably. I get my exam results tomorrow, so don't quote me on this. I might have to revise in August. Tori over at A Lass Reads, or A Scottish Lass Reads on Instagram. She's one of my patrons, one of my deities. She's doing arc August. She's done a couple of graphics. We're all going to try and read some arcs together. So I'm going to try and do that in August as well. But that will be if I don't have to resit an exam. Fingers crossed. I will already know by the time this video comes out, so this information will already be out of date. But it's fine, and it's gonna be fine. I will get to things eventually. It's just this year is a stressful year for me because it's the main year of my accountancy exams, and I will catch up on my physical TBR. This is my pledge, just maybe not this year. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed all of my rambling shit. Jordan has just gotten home and he's going to enjoy editing this, and he's going to be happy that I actually filmed this tonight instead of too late. Hi, George. I'm just saying bye.
Oh, bye.
Look at this crab. Isn't it amazing? Look at all the names on the crab. Don't you like the names on the crab? If you want your name to be on this crab, written and typed out by Jordan himself, then you should join my Patreon. All the links are in the description, including everything else as well. All my socials. I now have a TikTok. Who is she? Did you know that?
I can't believe that. I didn't know that. What is your TikTok name?
Wandering Worlds.
Oh my god. I'll give you a follow.
Thanks. If you don't know what goes on Patreon, then this is what you're missing out on. L-O-H-E-L-L-O. Thank you everyone for watching. If you did not have anything to say but wanted to let me know what you hear, please leave me any emoji you would like in the comments. I can't be asked to think of one. Goodbye!